So to prove that proximity matters in local SEO, Harper and I are going to take a ride around Portland to find some pet stores and do a little market research and look at what pet stores show up in different areas of Portland, given their proximity, given their reviews, given how well their Google business profile has been filled out. So come along and hopefully Harper gets a treat out of this when we go for a ride. You want to go for a ride? You want to go for a ride? Do you want to go? Let's go! I guess we're going to a pet store. All right, Harper, we are now in the North Deering neighborhood, and we've done some searching for a pet store for some treats or a chew toy. And what we have found is that there is one pet store near me in the North Deering area, and then there are two over on Forest Ave for everybody who's who knows Portland, Maine well. There are two over on Forest Ave that we could go to as well. So the first one we're looking at is Loyal Companion, who is a true dog store, or not just a dog store, a pet store for that matter, that has treats, that has food, supplies, toys, you name it, for any of your pets. They've got really good reviews on Google as well. So if we're looking at a pet store, that's probably the place that we would go to. Spoiler alert, it is actually the pet store we go to. There are also two other dog stores, or pet stores I should say, in the area, and one is more so a dog wash that has dog supplies, and then the other one is more of a dog food specialty store, it looks like. And the dog food specialty store doesn't have the greatest reviews, but I saw one review that said, "I'll never bring my fish back there again." So that's interesting. But yeah, so we've done the North Deering neighborhood. We're going to go over and do the Rosemont Deering Center neighborhood next. And then after that, we'll be going over to downtown Portland and see what's over there. So come along, and maybe at some point, Harper will get a treat or two. So we're in location number 2. We are in the Rosemont Deering Center area, looking for a pet store near us right now. So we are gonna search. So we did our searching, and here's where proximity comes into play, as well as scarcity. So in the top 3 results, we have a pet store, the Animal House, which is right down the street from us, which is perfect. But here's the interesting part. So after the Animal House, we have Loyal Companion, which is what we just saw in our first location in North Deering area. So what Google is telling us right now is that there's not another pet store in this area. So now they're going to go based on reviews as well as proximity. As you can see that the Loyal Companion, from a review standpoint and the next closest standpoint, is what Google is serving after the Animal House. So our third result, which is even more interesting, is now in South Portland, which is in a totally different city. So there is no other pet store that is closest to me. So now Google once again is kind of stretching their radius. It's interesting that they're going to another town before they're going to the other locations that we saw on Forest Ave. But that's just Google telling us that these are the closest locations to where you are currently searching. So once, just to wrap that up here, this is a perfect example of you don't necessarily need to be the closest to the person if you are in an industry or a market where it's not that popular of places, whereas like tax, financial planners, chiropractors, hairdressers, nail salons, those are a dime a dozen. But when you get into a little bit of a specialty area, it doesn't always need to be how close you are to that business. So let's go downtown Portland in our last stop and see what we have in store there. All right, Harper, it's our last stop of the road trip here around Portland, looking for pet stores. So we are currently sitting in the parking lot next to Flight New Media downtown on the waterfront. And it seems like there's quite a bit of competition downtown for a pet store. We have 2 locally owned pet stores downtown, Uncommon Paws and the Fish and Bone. So you'll notice that in the local search results, those are within walking distance, really. I could probably throw a stone to Fish and Bone from here. And probably I'd have to take like a golf club or a baseball bat out to hit Uncommon Paws, but it's right up the street. So you can see that proximity does matter in 2 of the 3 locations that I chose in Portland when it comes down to pet stores. There's not many pet stores in the city, so in certain areas Google may stretch out to South Portland or Westbrook, or any other surrounding town in Portland for pet stores. So thank you for coming along on this pet store proximity journey with me and Harper. And I think she's been a good girl, so I guess we're gonna have to get her a treat. Remember, proximity matters in local SEO. Proximity matters when you have a treat for a dog. As you can see, Harper's right over my shoulder because she knows she's getting a bone for being such a good girl.
No.
If you have a local business, Portland, Maine, or anywhere else in the country, or even in the world, make sure that you're taking proximity into consideration with your Google business profile. Thanks, guys. If you have any other questions about local SEO in general, feel free to find me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email, which is below. And yeah, we'll have a conversation.